Call the roll. And then I'm going to become official because Neil's going to swear me in, so.
All right, looks like we have a full board here, so ready to roll on.
Okay. So Neil, I'm gonna ask my wife to come and.
Clear the deck.
So where do we need to
If
get?
you want to stand up in front of that backdrop, that's perfect.
It's my honor as clerk of Superior Court to be present this oath to you, and then I'll ask you to place your left hand upon the Bible and raise your right. I state your name.
I, Chris White,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are or may be
which are or may be
established for the government thereof,
established for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
and that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and truly
and truly
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office of board member
of the office of board member
of the Surrey County Board of Elections
of the Surrey County Board of Elections
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
according to law.
according to law,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
So much. Looks like it's just and then an ovary.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Your break when you right next door and it's the floors.
So, getting on to business, the agenda is before you. I will read the conflict of interest statement that was adopted July the 18th, 2023. As the Surrey County Board of Elections, we have a duty to avoid conflicts or appearances of conflicts of interest. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or any appearance of a conflict of interest with respect to any matters coming before our board today? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from any participation in the particular matter. Seeing none, we will move to the next, which is the approval of the August 19th, 2025 minutes. And I guess they're in front of us.
Yes, they're behind the agenda. Everybody should have it.
Okay. Is there anything that needs to be adjusted, brought to our attention?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented.
Motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Y'all making this easy.
Madam Director, thank you for sending those minutes out ahead of time. Makes it easy to, well, makes it easier to review them beforehand.
Yeah, that was great. Appreciate it.
Good to know.
So, It says on here, public forum. And I guess that means that, is there anyone here that wishes to speak to any matter?
I do want to, Ken Badger, I wanted to wish Chris well as chairman and as a member of the board. And I know I've worked with Rebecca and Chris at Dobson number 3 precinct and elections for years. And we've had a good time at those events and everything goes well. And we know that he's going to work well with everybody and we're going to have an excellent board as we've had for many years. And thank you, Chris, for taking on this job.
Thank you. Chairman Sims from the 5th District. You have any remarks or anything?
It was good to be on this morning. Greetings from Alexander County. It was a beautiful drive over and, you know, I'm, in Alexander County, our Board of Elections should be the benchmark of how the state should run. And I'm sure that's the same way here in Surrey County. And, Chris, I've known him for a number of years and, I think it was very, good of him to step up and to take this position. And, I support him and I support your Board of Elections, here in Surrey County. So thank you all much.
Thank you. Anybody else? I would like to publicly thank Neil for being here and swearing in ceremony and I appreciate you. So the next item says 2026 primary early voting plan.
All right, in your packet, you'll have, put together, it'll look like this. So the early voting requirements for even year elections, I just kind of summarized, I have, the law that kind of pertains to this attached. But summarized, so for early voting, all sites must be open every weekday during the early voting period from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. If any early voting site is open, all early voting sites must be open. And then, if an early voting site is open on a Saturday or Sunday, then all must be open for the same number of hours on that Saturday or Sunday. And then the next, you'll see kind of just a little calendar that just shows the days in black. Those are the days that, dates and times that are required. And then you'll see in red, the Saturdays and Sundays are optional, except for that last Saturday. That one is required from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then the resolution on even year primaries and general elections, the state board recently put this out. It just states that, the early voting plans are to be, unanimous. And if they're not unanimous, then it goes to the state board of elections, to adopt the plan. And then, for this election, they asked that we turn in our early voting plan for the primary for 2026 by December the 5th. Or that's the kind of the deadline they gave, but the hard deadline is December the 19th. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and put this on the agenda for discussion. And then further in your packet, you'll have kind of some history and some cost of in the past of what we've did. Since this is a midterm primary, I thought the best election to compare this to was probably the 2022 primary, which you see on there. That election, we did have 4 early voting sites. And then we have the percentage of eligible ballots that were cast. For that election, it was 20.38%. And then you'll have the average number of voters per election per site as well on that next sheet. And then finally, you have it really broken down cost per vote, what goes into it. I did include in this 2018 election because the 2018 primary, I thought we'd kind of compare it to. The reason I didn't put it in these first 2 sheets is because back in 2018, the law was different where you could have different hours per site. So you see there, the Dobson site was open the whole time, the 2.5 weeks. But then Mount Airy, Elkin, and Pilot were open, but only open for 6 days. But the law has changed, so we can't do that. That's why I didn't put it in these first couple pages. So that's kind of the backstory for early voting. Anything you want to add, Henry?
Yep. So it's a very good summary. Thank you for the information.
But the main thing we're looking at is, do we want to do the other 2 Saturdays that aren't required? And then, Sundays, we want to vote on Sundays, and then how many sites? So we've had 1 all the way up to 4 in the past.
Is it open
One-
for comments now or when do we open? that?
We're in discussion.
Okay.
1 is required, I will say, and that's the site here in Dobson, that one's required. But the other 3 that we did in the past, Elkin, Pilot, and Mount Airy, those are optional. But that's why we just kind of gave y'all the back history of what we did in the past and cost per vote to hopefully help your decision.
So I'll, right off the get-go, I'll tell you that I know that the auditor's office is pushing for more than 1 site. In fact, I had the privilege of speaking with Auditor Bolick, and we talked about it, and he would like to see us have 4 sites. And I was surprised that he was up to speed on Surrey County, because he's got 100, but he was, and we discussed that some. I'm just throwing that out there that I know that, well, I know this, if we're going to do for Mount Airy, we really probably ought to have it in Elkin. I have mixed feelings about Pilot Mountain. But what's the pleasure of the board?
You are hitting right on the head. You sound like you've been in every one of our board meetings when we've discussed this very thing, and that's exactly the place that we've always been.
Well, I have drawn from public comments, so as you learn a lot as the chairman of the GOP, so anyway.
What's your questions about Elkin? Why do you have a question, rather about, not Elkin, but Pilot Mountain? Why do you have a concern?
I'm concerned that that it's not money well spent. Being that a lot of those people will travel to Dobson or Mount Airy, even though they could stop in Pilot Mountain. And
We've
but
got a considerable population in Pilot Mountain,
right,
so the inconvenience of them driving into Mount Airy or over to Dobson to do it, I would think would be negated, that we should have a place in Pilot Mountain.
well noted.
Yeah, I'm always concerned when the government spends money that it doesn't have to. I mean, it's easy for all of us to spend other people's money. I mean, it's not real, right?
Right.
I kind of come from the standpoint that I think we should have the minimum required amount that the state requires, and that would be Dobson. I can see Mount Airy, just looking at the numbers. I mean, Mount Airy swamps all the other locations, and the cost per vote in Mount Airy is less. I think eliminating Pilot is a no-brainer. I do hear your comments about Elkin, but you know, I could maybe go along with Elkin, Dobson, and Mount Airy, but I would rather just have it in Dobson. It's open for 2.5 weeks. I mean, my goodness. People can come drive that far to eat a chicken sandwich. They can drive that far to vote. Dobson is a central location in the county. I mean, if you look at it on a map, it's like the epicenter of the county. I imagine that was by design. You know, Mount Airy has, I guess, the largest population area. That's why it has the most votes. So I could see you can make a case for that. I might go along with Elkin, but I prefer just because we do, although we don't technically have a fiduciary responsibility to the voters of the county. I think the county commissioners do, and I kind of like to see government spending curtailed wherever possible. And, you know, paying $15 per vote is an excessive amount. And I see that on one of the locations.
That's on the Board of Election. That's here.
Yeah.
Bet you.
So,
Elkin is
but
30.
we're required to have it here though, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't have a choice in that matter.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
thankful we do have a little time here to be able to think this over between now and the hard deadline of December 19th. But one aspect that we have always taken up in the past in history has been information that the executive director gives as far as our pool of early voting site assistant, our helpers, our poll workers, that she has a good take, a good number of names that we will not be in a push come to shove and not have the coverage for if we have one site or four sites.
Yes.
That we have to have the people out there manning the locations. And that's been one aspect that I take to heart, and I take what the executive director would say closer to time for that decision to be made, because if we say one or four,
Still gotta cover them.
we've got to have the coverage.
That's a very good point.
Speak to that.
So even if we have four, of course, we're always gonna make it happen. I think we have a great pool, of poll workers that we can pull from that have experienced either working on election day or early voting in the past. And, looking at turnout in past midterm primaries, you can see it's a lot lower than even a primary in like a year that the president's elected, or even just the general of the midterm. So I think that even if we have four sites, we could kind of scale back the number of poll workers that we have per site. That would help with the cost per vote. Because if like for example, in Elkin, they're averaging 34 voters a day.
Mhm.
We're not gonna need 6 poll workers sitting
Sure.
all day. The
Good.
minimum is 3, so the chief judge, a Republican judge, and a Democrat judge. And then you could, have assistants, of course, at like Mount Airy or maybe here, your busier sites, if we choose to, do up to 4, however many. So just kind of looking at ahead of time, I was thinking maybe Dobson, we could do, 4 to 5 poll workers. Elkin, probably do the minimum of 3 or 4, same thing for Pilot, and then Mount Airy, I was looking at probably at least 6, just to have enough coverage, and I think between our pool that we already have, and we'd have time to recruit between now and then if we needed to, I think we definitely cover that.
But, excuse me, Sydney, in Pilot Mountain, we're showing a cost of $35.50 roughly per vote. Is that based on a maximum manpower?
This is based off of the May 17th, 2022, so it actually breaks down the pay that we had people working. You have to see how many people that was. I think even that election, we had pretty bare bones staffing, 3 to 4 people. So you're probably looking at a similar cost for Elkin and Pilot. And also since then, as y'all know, cost of everything's went up, paper, toner, all kinds of stuff like that. So,
Are we required to have the same number of locations for primaries for the general election, or can
No.
they
No.
be different?
yeah, it's each election.
Okay, well, I would say probably turnout in primary is much lower. And usually I have motivated voters that are coming out. I could say minimum number of locations for the primary, minimum number of days. And still, 2.5 weeks, people have an opportunity to vote if they care to.
Are you putting that in the form of a motion?
Well, I'm discussing right now,
Okay.
but
Yes.
I would say, I would say in the general, where turnout is greater, maybe it might make sense to have 2 or 3 locations, just because there are more people to service and, more knowledgeable, motivated people out there who are wanting to vote.
Now,
Chris, I'd like to point out about the primary here in Surrey County.
Mhm.
I think this coming primary 2026 will be unique, more so than maybe some of the past, because we will have multiple candidates on the Republican side, particularly
Mhm.
on county office,
Yeah.
on some of the, well, the House seat,
Mhm.
that's going to escalate
Mhm.
that voter population coming out that we serve. Also, just one question for you, Madam Director, is, and concerning the fiduciary responsibility, or that we should be cognizant of that. The money that it would take for the primary, and we're in this primary physical year. Has that money, or has it not been appropriated?
Yes, sir. It's been budgeted. 4 sites were budgeted for and approved in our budget for this year. So
I agree. Yeah.
we always
the-
budget for the maximum, and then if we don't go with the maximum, then, you know, of course, that goes back to the county.
Member Carter has brought out an interesting point. There's going to be a substantial number of people challenging.
It's the point that it's.
So it appears to me that when it comes to voting, the cost is relevant, yes. But if the cost sets up a situation where certain voters are incapable of voting for one reason or another, that's questionable. I think we should have the 4 sites for this year, this particular primary coming up. I mean, it really, I think it's gonna be very important to a lot of people.
And point out too, I'm trying not to sway y'all one way or the other, but just give y'all the facts that, so Mount Airy, the city of Mount Airy, their commissioner and mayor, they will be on the ballot in the primary if they have opposition. Whereas the other municipalities, so Town of Dobson, Elkin and Pilot, they file in the summer and they go straight to the general election. So if that affects y'all's decision anyway, I wanted to let you know that.
I think it's the point that Dwayne was getting toward, though. In this election, there will be a hotly contested sheriff's primary in the Republican primary. There will be a clerks of court primary race that I anticipate by the time it gets here will be fairly hot. There will be county commissioner races that's already been declared that will be contested.
And then there's the
there will
90th
be-
district.
There will be open board of board of education seats that will no doubt draw more than one candidate. I mean, I don't,
And the 90th that I'm referring to is Representative Stevens currently
right,
holds that seat. And
we know of 3 candidates that have already declared there, and you know, there's gonna be 2 more. So,
probably.
There's a concern on the other side of that balance sheet too, that I can speak to personally, is especially the local candidates here. When you have multiple early voting sites, you know, working the polls is very effective on the primaries. I don't know that it really is all that effective in a general election, because most people showing up know who they're voting for. But in the primaries, oftentimes people aren't quite as educated, and someone working a poll can sway. So it's very critical for our local candidates to have people at the polls. And I ran a very unsuccessful campaign several years ago, and I think we only had 2 early voting sites, and I couldn't cover them during early voting. I mean, you know, there's only so many volunteers in the world and so many friends and family members that you can lean on. And I know the process of running is quite exhaustive during this extended early voting period. And I think the more sites you have, every time you do that, you make it that much more complex. So just for our candidates to be able to work the polls adequately, I think is difficult the more locations you have.
well, I will say this as a spouse of a candidate that ran successfully with 4 early voting sites and had people at them. Maybe that's the difference.
Well, could be family relations.
You just have to, you know, but I don't think our concern should be with the candidate's ability to field people at those places.
Well, that was a corollary argument to the financial and the reasonableness argument that I have.
I don't think the board's responsibility is to consider what it's costing candidates. our responsibility is to make sure that every citizen has the opportunity to vote, period. So the cost of the candidates cannot come into our consideration. That's what they have to spend. What we decide
We're not
is to make,
talking about cost.
well,
I'm
being
curious-
We're just
different
talking
places.
about being reasonable. We have an election season that's.
I understand
exceptionally
that.
long.
I understand that.
I'm curious, Chris, did the state auditor give any indication what his interest in seeing 4 sites in the county? Did he offer anything further there?
Basically, Board Member Fields has basically addressed it, just like he just wants it to be available to the people.
I've always been an advocate of that.
Right.
But in my time on the board, and listen, I was not on this board when the county had 4 sites. 1 year, you be with me, Dwayne, because you were on the board when this occurred. We had 4 early voting sites in 1 election. And then the next election, the county had early voting sites in Elkin, Dobson, and Mount Airy. And I'm telling you, the people of Pilot Mountain came unwound. But after coming on the board and seeing just a terrible turnout for voting early in Pilot Mountain, I came to question the reasonableness of having that site, that early voting site there, particularly during an off-year primary. So I can be swayed either way there. I do believe that we should accommodate 3 sites. I think the turnout in Elkin is such, certainly in Mount Airy, always. I don't think that's a question. Dobson is required. I don't think anyone will make a case, though I would listen, but I don't think you'll make the case to me that would convince me that there's not a reason to have it in Mount Airy and Dobson. And the turnout has been such that I don't think that there's a reason we would not have the same over in Elkin either. But I will throw in here before we even get there that I don't think I'll ever be in favor of having voting here on Sunday. I just don't think we need to ever go there, but.
I have a question for Mark. Is there anything in the law that says we can't just have a specific notification date for a specific area such as Pilot Mountain? Say, you have these 2 days that you can vote early.
Yeah, the restriction is you can pick the number of sites, but whatever you have basically in Dobson, you gotta have in all.
So it has to be
Yeah.
equal out
Yeah,
throughout.
so
Okay.
And that was,
Wasn't quite
what was it,
sure.
two elections ago, you could do that,
Yeah.
but that's changed since then.
And that makes sense for a lot of reasons. You kind of by practice disenfranchise maybe a population in Pilot that if they only had 2 days.
Well, differential treatment
Yeah, differential treatment.
is going to be a hot button anytime you do
Well,
it.
just making sure that
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Director. If we decide on 4 sites for the main primary and we go to a runoff, which I would really foresee that happening. Yeah, but are we held to the same sites?
For example, back in
Well, I saw that.
last year, we had a second primary, and because we were expecting turnout to be really low, we just did the 1 site that was required. And you see, I mean, we had to be open the same 2.5 weeks, but 297 out of the excuse me. Yeah, 297 turned out early. 297 voters that whole period.
We would meet again
as it got
and make a
closer.
decision
Right.
again on
So
it.
yeah, you're not tied to, this is just for this primary election. You're not tied to this for any future elections.
Okay, so today's proposal will be just for this election, not for the general.
2026
First primary.
Yeah,
Well, I'm ready to make a proposal, but I suspect it'll be voted down and maybe an alternate would come from there.
Is today the day that we're supposed to submit this or
We can, we don't, the
we
deadline.
don't have
the
to?
19th of
The
December.
10th December 5th, they asked, and then the hard deadline's the 19th, since this is kind of new, and the deadline they gave was, really up.
Because I think today, doing exactly what the five of us are doing with the assistance of council and director, is that we're uncovering our personal desires, what we would,
Leanings.
like to see.
each of us would like to see.
Mhm.
We've got to be able to come together on that unanimously, or it's out of our hands.
Yeah, see, I have a
Correct.
couple of employees at my company that live in Pilot Mountain. And they aren't too pleased with not having a site in Pilot
Yeah.
Mountain. They have to drive it. They don't live right in Pilot Mountain. They live a little side outside it, but they have to drive in to Mount Airy. So they spoke to me and I said, well, something's got to come up for discussion.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're the only two.
Certainly not.
So that's,
It's good that we're able to, like I say,
has to be,
unfold all of this, and Clark mentioned the Sunday voting. That has historically been a non-runner. We don't open on Sundays. Number one, that gives the staff, that gives the poll workers one day to be able to take a breath, for them to, if they go to church, for them to be able to do that comfortably, and that oftentimes the staff here in the office is doing a lot of catch up, getting things accomplished, ready for the next week.
Of course,
It's a catch up.
So I'd like to see personally I would like to see that broke off and voted on
so,
separately.
That is one thing.
The Sunday and even the extra 2 Saturdays. I'm for the minimum on the Saturdays.
there's, of course, that there's a national movement to make the voting day a national holiday or move it to a weekend. So you will have the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of the first weekend of November. There's this motion in Washington over this right now to change this idea. Do any of you understand why Tuesday was the first Tuesday was selected? Back when? That was because only men voted. And only people who owned property could vote. And they were the only people who could take the time to go vote. And they were in the power, and that's why they selected it. It limited a lot of working force from voting. That's why the Tuesday election was established 250 years ago. And it's outdated because we have a larger voting population now. So there is a movement in Washington, very subtle, to change it to a weekend or to make it a national holiday so that no one can claim they didn't have an opportunity to vote, have to rush out of work and try to get to a voting location. There is a substantial movement behind that. I kind of don't know. I think a national holiday would be just fine, but
I could get behind the national holiday.
for voting, I would think so. I propose
You
that,
putting that in a motion that we do that?
no, I might as well tell you,
Quite that. easy.
Okay, yeah.
years ago, when I was more active politically,
Wait, it would carry.
when I was going back and forth to Washington DC on a regular basis, when I was a senatorial consultant.
Well, Mr.
This was
Chairman,
30 years ago. That was being proposed and it's still being fought
Mhm.
by selective interests.
Mr. Chairman, to follow up on your wishes, I would like to propose that lay aside the locations, but that we only have early voting on the legally required dates and not the extra Saturdays and Sundays in this upcoming primary. Make that as a motion.
A motion?
Yeah.
No Saturday and Sunday, right?
Well, one Saturday.
Okay.
The
It's your
required,
required date.
Yeah.
The minimum required dates, that's the only dates that we're open for early vote.
Okay.
You said you want to break the two things.
I
apart.
would like, I like that.
Okay. I think 10, 11, 12, 13 days is plenty for someone to work out their.
I agree with that.
Can we discuss that? I
Yeah.
mean, we've talked
Oh,
about all
can.
the other, but that's not something
Okay.
we've discussed at all at this point.
All right.
Go ahead. Well, we have a motion. We don't even have a second, but so we can have discussion. That's not out of,
It would be out of the order. I mean, we've been talking about all the other, but now we've got a motion on an item that we've not been talking about.
if you got a comment. the
Well,
floor is open.
I would like to hear the board, all the members of the board on that matter. That's usually what we do.
Well,
What's your motion, Terrell?
That,
I-
that we're open on these black letter days, which are the legally required days that we have to provide early voting.
So his motion, the way I understand it is that we vote that Surrey County would be open for voting the 13 days that are delineated in black. The two optional Saturdays would not be, there would be no voting, and of course the Sundays. And as just a board member, I would just state that I'm totally against voting on Sunday. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
as I am. I think we're all in agreement there. What I would like before I may be completely in favor of the same thing that you are, Terrell, but before I would make any decision on it one way or the other, I'd like to know what our voting totals are on those Saturdays that we have had voting on the other Saturdays, and what the hours are that our polling places have been open. Because I can't make an informed decision on those Saturdays without knowing those numbers.
So you're just saying have the 28th as the only Saturday as the voting day?
That's
Correct.
required.
That's
Yeah,
required. day.
required,
Yeah,
that's a required day. The other 2 days are optional.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's reasonable.
And I have here for you the 2018 and 2022 that we compared to. I don't have all the rest. I can get that for y'all, like at a future meeting if you went that far back.
Yeah, well, the two Saturdays before, if we've got an idea of what kind of turnout there is on those
Wait a minute.
other
wait a
two
minute. Whoa, whoa,
Saturdays.
whoa, whoa. That, it says that we have to have one Saturday, but does it have to be the 28th? Could it be one of the other Saturdays? It has to be the 28th.
Yeah.
Has to be the last Saturday, and it's only a partial.
Partial, yeah,
No,
Required 8
Yeah,
to
it's
3.
8 to 3.
8 to 3.
We can, if my recollection is right, we can set the time on those other Saturdays. Is that right, Dwayne? Am I remembering that right?
I think that we can.
Yeah.
But then once you set it, they all have to be open the
Yes.
same. So if you chose 8 to 5 at Dobson, Elkin, Pilot, however many you vote for, it also had to be 8.
I think, didn't we set those dates, those times at an earlier closing time? Didn't we do those like from
Did the same hours.
like 9 to 12 or?
I think the polling population after 12 on the Saturdays, what we looked at deciding in past elections, after 12, it takes a nosedive.
I think that's what we did.
Well, that's because it'd be watching football or something else on Saturday or.
Yeah, I think we did like an 8 to 12 on those other Saturdays when we've done it, because we had looked at talked with our poll workers and said, this is the window of time that it serves the county. And then had a larger turnout during that time.
So for the 2022, this sheet, on, May the 30th, or excuse me, April 30th, May 7th, and May 14th, we were open all 3 Saturdays for that election. So for example, here in Dobson, on the first Saturday, we voted 21 people. The second Saturday, we voted 22 people. The third Saturday, we voted 109. At Mount Airy,
Big turnout the last Saturday, nothing, the first two, not anything worth doing.
the first Saturday, 87 voters. The second Saturday, 44 voters. And the third Saturday, 214. So again, that last Saturday was the highest. But in Elkin, 13, 4, and then 53.
Mr. Chairman. Hearing that population called out of those low numbers. And with the motion on the floor. I'll second that motion.
Yeah. I'm good to go with it now that I know those numbers.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. We have had discussion. Is there any further discussion?
One question, can we make sure that we do special advertising for that last Saturday?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We
Make
usually
sure
do a
it's known.
poster and
Posters, make sure it's known,
yes, but it's just the one.
Always.
yeah.
I
Very
have
good.
one more. Piece of discussion is, if we're closed on those Saturdays, hopefully that would mean that we could maybe open in all 4 locations in a future vote.
Well said.
Probably worthwhile.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, that we will vote. All those in favor of the motion to not hold elections on the 2 Sundays and the 2 alternate Saturdays. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion unanimously carries.
Gracious.
Okay, the floor is still open for discussion concerning the number of voting sites. 4, we're just discussing the primary, which is,
The election day is March the 3rd, but early voting is from the February 12th to the 28th.
so
Barring on that first emotion that just passed, make a motion that we have the one Saturday in Pilot Mountain, that we have it open.
We
for the-
can't.
Well, they have to be all.
we can't do that.
You can't.
Have to-
Yeah,
have to
you
be
can.
all-
If we just agreed to leave the 14th and the 21st
If-
closed, but the
if you-
28th
if
could be
you
open.
If you open pilot, and I'm addressing this to Attorney Payne.
Keep talking, you got it.
If we cannot open that site one of the 13 days.
No,
only.
okay.
We have
Yeah,
to,
all-
it has to be open all 30, it's all 13 days or nothing.
All or none.
All in
I'm gonna make a motion, you can second it.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we open all 4 sites for the entirety of the primary,
The 13
the
days.
13 days
13
of
days.
early voting.
So the motion on the floor is that we have 4 sites, which would be, of course, Dobson, Mount Airy, Elkin, and Pilot Mountain, to be minimally staffed, I would, as the
As-
director.
Deems fit.
And do we have a second?
Would this be the same hours of 8 to 3, or would we control that?
It's required 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. during the weekdays.
Yeah,
So
but on
just-
that, on the Saturdays.
8
it's not-
to 3,
yeah.
8 to 3 on that Saturday.
And that's so that they can get some things, because they have one more day of voting. Correct? I'm
I've got a
supposing that the Saturday closes at 3, so y'all can get everything ready
For
for
election day.
election day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing that's unique about this vote is on the voting plan, it has to be unanimous or it goes to the state
To decide.
to decide.
And I have a question on that. That was my question on procedure. And Mr. Bullock has already said he wants all 4 sites open, right?
So if say it's a 3-2 vote, the majority plan and the minority plan would go to the state board and present each side of this is why we should have X or why we should have Y. And we've had that in the past, and
Yeah.
but if we go ahead and vote on this today, we can go ahead and start advertising. And one of the reasons I went ahead and put it on the agenda today as well is candidate filing starts December the 1st. And we've had a lot of people call already about early voting sites, that sort of thing. So hopefully we could go ahead and push that out to the candidates and all the voters as well,
So
if it's unanimous.
it's my opinion, and I may be wrong, but if we were to decide to table this today, we would we would be required to have a meeting just for this topic sometime. I mean, we could have other stuff, but for sure, we got to get this done
Exactly.
eventually.
Yeah.
Sooner the better.
Right.
They requested December the 5th, but I think that hard deadline was really
The
the 19th.
19th.
Yeah.
So anything other than unanimous goes to the state and they decide what we do.
Yeah.
We can take, help me Counselor,
Make multiple
if I'm
votes.
crossing this bridge and it's shaky.
Mhm.
If his motion does not carry unanimous
Mhm.
for 4 sites,
Mhm.
you make a motion for 2 sites.
Mhm.
It doesn't go
Pass.
unanimous.
Mhm.
So then your motion
And his motion.
and his motion, the two of you all appear on camera before the State Board of Elections of
Mhm.
why you feel like that it should be only 2.
Right.
Why you feel it should only be 4. They will take the testimony, weigh it, they'll make their decision.
And one other thing, because this unanimous requirement is fairly unique in this vote, we gotta talk a little bit more Roberts than we usually do. Any motion can be pulled for reconsideration on the next meeting. So it's the final decision that goes to Raleigh. I'm not recommending that by any stretch, but
Right. Understand. We have multiple considerations here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
it would have to be on a motion to reconsider an earlier motion.
Well, clock will
And
be,
typically, that a motion to reconsider should be done the next meeting by someone who did not vote for the first motion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess what I'm thinking is just tactically here is, and let me tell you, I'm not opposed to being the odd man out at any time. I kind of live in that world. But I will say that regardless of what we do, I'm not anxious to fall on the sword either. I think it's going to be 4 based on what I'm hearing from Ms. Bullock. So I will acquiesce.
make sure I get your motion correct, Clark. Your motion is that we have all 4 stations open.
Elkin, Pilot Mountain, Mount Airy, and
Dobbs.
here at the Board of Elections in Dobbs.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. We will vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I believe that's unanimous.
We have an early voting plan.
Thank y'all so much.
So. I have a sheet here somewhere. I like to check these things off.
Ask our, since it's in this package, can I ask our attorney a question? Was there anything, I'm sure you reviewed this resolution. I went through it, it all looked good to me. Was there anything in that resolution that gave you any pause, Mr. Payne?
No,
Okay, it's over my
I
head.
can't say I studied it, but I didn't see anything that really wasn't, frankly, that I haven't seen in numbered memorandum.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
So I guess we let you talk about voter registration repair update.
Okay. So, on September the 19th of this year, the State Board of Elections sent an email to, all counties advising us on the next phase of the voter registration repair project. So we were provided a list of 235 voters who had provided an identifying number, which is either their North Carolina driver's license or the last four of their social, that failed to validate. So the state board asked that we review this information and complete it by December the 15th. And our office completed this review on October the 6th.
Yep.
So, our staff reviewed all the documents that, were attached to these affected voters, and we were able to validate 74 out of those 235 voters. So we were able to get their social or driver's license validated. Many of them, their names had updated since then, and so that's why those numbers were able to validate. And so of the 161 effective voters that remain, 91 of those have submitted HAVA ID in the past. So they will be eligible to vote in upcoming elections without voting provisional ballot. But that does leave 70 voters that when they come to vote, they'll have to vote a provisional ballot because their North Carolina driver's license or social didn't validate, or they haven't provided a HAVA document in the past. So most of the time, these are voters that have never voted before. So we're happy that, yeah, it's 70, so hopefully this will won't be too many voters affected and that they won't have to vote provisional ballots. But if they do, they'll just provide their social or driver's license on that provisional application. And then we'll just process that, make sure it validates, and then that ballot will be recommended to be approved and counted if that number validates.
And with y'all's permission, I'm gonna step out for 2 minutes.
Okay,
You're on the clock.
So that's everything for the voter registration repair update.
so
And I
tell me what HAVA is.
So HAVA is, so it's the Help America Vote Act. So that is a form of identification most of the time. There's a whole list of them. Most of the time, it's just a North Carolina driver's license that person has shown. It can also be like a utility bill. I can get you the full list of it, but yeah. So that's if somebody comes to vote. That was even before photo ID was in place in North Carolina. Some voters were required to show that HAVA ID. So it's like a federal law.
I've been part of that.
So staff did a great job meeting this deadline that was December the 15th. We completed it on October 6th. So I just want to thank the staff for doing a good job.
So can we press forward
We can.
without him? So we're down to other business.
All right, and for other business, if you don't care, I'll start out unless y'all have anything.
I do.
Okay, go for it.
Meeting at 1 o'clock is a little tough on my schedule. So. you could-
Part of that, you blame me. I had to make arrangements to get
Understood. But
Mr. Brundle and
yeah,
people involved.
middle of the week and on a Wednesday afternoon, I have a company I'm taking care of down here in Winston-Salem. It's kind of usually I try to get it to be about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I can be here 3:30, 4 o'clock. But
Duly noted.
Hopefully in the future, yeah, we can.
Duly noted.
Some
I'm
meetings
with
are
you, Paul.
set by statute,
Right.
but yeah, hopefully in the future, we can definitely do later meetings if that works for everyone.
plus I have my book coming out before Christmas.
Oh, goodness, before Christmas, you are gonna be busy.
All right, so you've got this packet.
Yes, sir. I was just gonna go over a few things. So, I provide y'all all a tentative schedule for the upcoming election. So, as we mentioned earlier, candidate filing is almost here. Begins December the 1st at noon. And then we'll go until December the 19th at noon. And this is for all federal, state, county office, and Mountain municipal offices. And on that next sheet, you'll see a list of all the offices that are open to file, along with their filing fees, and that sort of thing. And then we just have the primary dates, early voting when it begins, and absentee by mail. I do want to point out the canvas meeting for the primary election will be March the 13th. That meeting, it's required by law that all 5 board members are attend. I do believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't attend virtually, like if it's, you have to, but that is a meeting that we have to have all 5 board members. So please go ahead and mark that March 13th on your calendar. And while you're marking, if you don't mind, go ahead and mark that November 13th as well. That's the date of canvas for the general election.
And I think that's after ACC tournament and first weekend.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Some things just come to mind.
This upcoming. So I just want to give y'all these dates, and then on the back, we have our dates for the upcoming conferences. Our next North Carolina State Board of Elections conference is going to be held virtually. So we've reserved this room next door, room A. We're gonna watch it in there, and that's gonna be January the 26th and 27th. And we'll provide meals, that sort of thing. So watch next door, and then August 9th through 11th is going to be the summer conference in Greensboro. And our favorite, I know, it's such a long trip. I have reserved our rooms for that. Just I wanted to go ahead and book it so we can get in the host hotel.
I won't be there.
Okay, so if you don't mind, just let me know in the next little bit if you are planning on attending both of those, or either or, that sort of thing. So it is required within 6 months of getting sworn in as a board member. So I believe that Chris and Paul, you'll be required to go because you were at the last conference. But everybody is welcome to come to all of them.
It's my intent
Just need
to
a head
attend
count.
both of them, and I will not need a room for Greensboro.
If you don't need a room. Anybody else know that they're planning on driving back and forth their room?
No, I wouldn't need a room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already reserved it. I can always cancel. I just wanted to reserve before they all got booked up.
I'll be at both of them.
Okay. Perfect. And then at the bottom of that sheet, you'll also see that I provided y'all with the training dates that we have upcoming. This is required for y'all. This is our poll worker training. I just wanted to make y'all aware, and you're encouraged to attend if you want to, but once again, it's not required. So I've got all those dates there as well.
So, for the early voting, there's 5 dates.
Early voting training.
Yeah,
So this is for,
no,
you'll see
there's-
the January dates are all for the primary, and then the September, October are for the general election.
well, one of the January dates is for chief judge. So
We have,
I plan on attending at least one.
okay, perfect, yeah, so we'll have, normally what we do is a night class, and then we do a morning class, just to fit everybody's schedule. So for early voting, that first day is a night class, the next day is a morning class. Do the same thing for election day, and then we just do one chief judge's training. And usually we feed them pizza or something, it's a smaller group.
So the January 15th and the January 16th would probably be the same information,
Exactly, yes, sir.
but it's just
Different.
2 separate days, but it's the same training.
Uh-huh.
okay.
And same thing for like the
Good question.
22nd, 23rd, if you were planning on attending one, don't feel like you have to attend both, because yeah, it's gonna be the same materials. And if you're not able to make it and you want the training materials, we can get those to you as well.
You have found sufficient personnel to man the stations.
I believe so, yes, sir. So, trying to remember if it was the last meeting or a couple meetings before that, y'all appointed the chief judges and judges for all the precincts. So that's been done, and then we will be working on all the assistants. And since this is a smaller election, we won't need as many assistants as we did in like the general of 2024. But I think we should have enough and plenty to cover all the sites.
Encouraging to see the number of people that signed up that night.
Exactly, for other.
Yes, it was.
And since then, we actually have got a couple on payroll to work early vote in the future that haven't, so.
That's great.
That same thing for MAC team, we're gonna have a lot of new people, and I'll present that to y'all as it gets a little closer. The MAC team members, that's the multi-partisan assistance team. So that's a Republican and a Democrat that go into the nursing facilities to assist them either in registering to vote, requesting their absentee ballot, or even assisting them in filling out their ballot if they need the help. And then I also included just in that packet as well, the sign ordinance information, because we've been getting some questions about that. I know there's signs everywhere. Just in case you get questions from members of the community, you have that. So that's everything I have for other business. Unless y'all have anything.
Attorney Payne, do you have anything?
I do not. Step welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any other business? Hearing none, I'm gonna check that off. I'd like to have a brief break.
Okay.
If that would be agreeable to the board. Oh. You're
You
not
will.
agreeable?
Did you say a break?
Yeah,
Okay, do we want to close our open session? And take a 5-minute recess and then come back in for closed?
Yeah.
Closed that,
that's agreeable to the board. We will close the open session.
That, what he meant.
Second, closing the open session.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry to go into close.
Yeah,
I'll make it.
okay,
If you're looking for one, I'll make it.
Okay, I just didn't hear.
Well, I didn't, but I'll make the motion.
okay.
If somebody, if you needed one, there wasn't one made, I'll do it.
I'm still learning procedure too.
I thought I might have missed it.
So,
Call for a vote.
so all those in favor of closing the open session, and we've dwindled down to, got one visitor, but all those in favor say aye.
all right,
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will be back in
recess.
recess for 5 to 10 minutes.
Stand down just a little.
Yeah. I'm gonna go.
Stand
I now declare the meeting back in to open session. Basically, we had a lot of discussion, but no actions taken. Is there any further business to come before this board this day? Hearing none,
Make a motion, we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
And I think it was seconded 3 times. And that motion, I do know that cannot be discussed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Good.